A gentleman by the name of Stephen Covey, my good friend Robert Allen, was a student teacher's assistant to Stephen Covey. And Robert Allen wrote his book first and was a big success. And then Stephen asked him for advice. And he did the book Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. I know Stephen, and he's passed away, but boy, did he make a big dent. And it's all comes down to habits, it comes down to habits. So I'm going to turn time over to Ryan, who's going to do a whole section on Stephen Covey. Ryan, take it away.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, here we go again. We're going to talk about the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People of Stephen R. Covey. This is the book. If you're wondering if this is in our website, it is. It's on 3.3, so you can check it to learn more about it. These are the seven habits. We have the be proactive, begin with the end in mind, put first things first, think win-win, seek first to understand and to be understood. This is the habit that we're going to talk about tonight. And synergize, and lastly, sharpen the saw. This is the visual framework of the book. The diagram shows a journey from dependence, independence, and interdependence. Dependence is a pre-growth stage. Our effectiveness is limited because we haven't yet developed personal responsibility, and that's okay. It's still important because it's the baseline from which growth begins. And we can't be truly effective with others until we are effective with ourselves. We want to achieve private victory. We have habit number one, be proactive. Habit number two, begin with the end in mind. Habit number three, put first things first. As we master these three habits, we are going to achieve private victory. And we're moving from dependence to independence. And we are ready to experience public victory. Right here, as we experience public victory, we'd like to, of course, master habit number four, think win-win. This is the habit that we've talked about last time. It is a frame of mind and heart that constantly seeks mutual benefits in all humans. It means that agreements or solutions are mutually beneficial, they are mutually satisfying. Tonight, we're going to talk about habit number five, seek first to understand, then to be understood. So that's pretty much it. We will not be discussing all the habits. We're gonna do one habit per session. So now let's talk about habit number five, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Now, I'd like to start this presentation by asking you a question. Will you have much confidence in someone who doesn't diagnose before they prescribe? Say, for example, a doctor. We have much confidence in someone who doesn't diagnose before they prescribe. For example, you went to optometrist, and then you were complaining about your eyesight. You know, you informed the optometrist that you can't see clearly, you want to be checked and all that. And then the optometrist recommends her eyeglasses, personal eyeglasses. And then she told you, you put this on. I've worn this pair of glasses for years, and they are very effective. And interestingly, you tried. You try to put them on, and then you can't see anything. And then the doctor said, well, they work great for me. You need to try harder. And then you kept on trying and trying and trying, but you really couldn't see. Everything is blurred. And then the doctor said, well, you have to think positively. And you are thinking positively, but it's just that you just can't see a thing. Now, what are the chances that you'd go back to that optometrist? Of course, not very good, right? So will you have much confidence in someone who doesn't diagnose before they prescribe? Now, you don't have much confidence who doesn't diagnose before they prescribe. Now, the question is, how about us? How do we diagnose before we prescribe in communication? For example, you are a parent, you're a mom or your dad, and then you have this one of your children and is already burnt out, and then suddenly told you, Mom, Dad, I don't want to go to school anymore. I feel like it's a scam. And then you just burst out in anger, and then you told your son or your daughter, "Are you out of your mind? Do you know how much sacrifice we've made just to be able to send you to that school?" And then they, went ahead and started telling you, "During our time, right? This is the only thing that we had. This is the only money that we had, and this is how far the school is from our house, and we did our best," and things like that. And then you are very angry as a parent because you are, frustrated because after all your sacrifice, your son or your daughter doesn't want to go to school anymore. And then you just told them that you just have to try harder, you go to school and stuff like that. Now, as a human being, we have such tendency. We have a tendency to rush in. We'd like to fix things up with advice without even knowing the side of the other person. And we often fail to take time to diagnose, to really deeply understand the problem first. And I guess it's already in our nature as human. Now the question is, how do we avoid that so that our interaction with human beings will be very productive? The most important principle in the field of interpersonal relations is seek first to understand, then to be understood. This principle is the key to effective interpersonal communication. Now, there are four types of communication. Number one, reading. Number two, writing, speaking, and listening. I think they've added watching already. I don't know. Our ability to do them is absolutely critical to our effectiveness, and communication is the most important skill in life, in my view. Now, we spend years learning how to read, how to write, and how to speak. But how about listening? What kind of training or even education have we had that enables us to listen so that we really deeply understand another human being? Now, there are four levels of listening. Level number one, we may be ignoring another person, not really listening at all. That's level number one. Number two, we may practice pretending, we're just nodding and like we're pretending that we're listening to the other person, but we're actually staring at their booger, whatever. But we're just pretending. Level number three, we may practice selective listening, hearing only certain parts of the conversation. Number four, we may practice attentive listening, paying attention and focusing energy on the words that are being said. Now, according to Stephen Covey, we need to practice the fifth level. And that level is what? The emphatic listening. Emphatic listening gets inside another person's frame of reference. You look out through it, you see the world the way they see the world, you understand their paradigm, their worldview, their perspective, you understand how they feel. Now, say, for example, if you want to interact effectively or influence me, you have to understand me. And you can't do that with technique alone, according to Stephen Covey. And for example, if I sense that you're using some technique, I will wonder or I will feel that you're just manipulating me. I'll be wondering what your motives are, or reasons why you're doing it. And so because of those suspicions, I wouldn't feel safe enough to open up myself up to you. And as a result, there will be no trust. No trust will be built. And so you can't be effective in giving me an advice or a counsel if you can't understand me. So understanding is very important because we as human beings typically seek first to be understood. We want to be understood right away. And most people do not listen with the intent to understand. They listen with the intent to reply or to rebut. They're always in reply mode. They're either speaking or preparing to speak, and they're filtering through their own paradigm or worldview. Oh, I know exactly how you feel. I went through the very same thing. Let me tell you about my experience. Something like that. We want to be understood. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. We want to, transfer our experience, our knowledge to the other person, but we have to understand that we need to understand the other person first. Now, we never really understand what's going on inside another person because, we want to be understood first. Emphatic listening is putting ourselves in the shoes of others. Emphatic listening is a shift from reply mode to understand mode. Emphatic listening is in and of itself a tremendous deposit in the emotional bank account. That's very interesting. And it's deeply therapeutic and healing because it gives a person psychological air. Now, take it literally. For example, you are on the live class right now. You are in your room, I don't know, in your house. And if all the air, for example, were suddenly sucked out of the room, what will you do? Halimbawa, walang hangin bigla, hindi ka makahinga. What will you do? Definitely, you wouldn't care about this live class anymore. You wouldn't care about the rewards anymore. You wouldn't care about the Make a Difference program anymore. Why? Because you're running out of breath, right? You can't breathe. So survival would be your only motivation. So what are you gonna do? You're going to really try to find air, right? Oxygen. But the situation is different. We have air and it doesn't motivate us. So we're just here. We're just listening to our live class. So satisfied needs do not motivate. It's only unsatisfied need that motivates. Now, how about emphatic listening? What happens when you listen with empathy to another person? What happens when you listen with empathy to another person? You actually give that person a psychological air. And in the world which we live, psychological air is really important. We all wanted to be heard. I still remember when I was still in my Christian mission, we met this person, Michael, and he was really devastated. And we didn't know at first what his problem was. And then he kept on talking about his personal problems, and he started crying. And of course, we didn't understand what's going on. But as a Christian, we could have, pull up our scriptures and then gave some, scripture verses to somehow comfort this person. But we didn't do that. We paused and then we let him, express himself. And then we found out that he was really, his wife and Michael himself were not on the same page, and so they always fight. And so we understood the situation, and we were able to uh to help him get through that. But well, of course, it's not really us. We were just instruments during that time. But this is what happened. His wife was a member of the church, and he wasn't a member of the church. And then later on, he got baptized, and they were still in the temple. This is just one perspective, guys. This principle can be applied to many different areas in our lives. So that's the first part of the habit number 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. This is the other half of the habit number 5. And guess what? It is equally critical in reaching win-win solutions. We talk about that when during the habit number 4 class. And in habit number 4, think win-win, we talked about maturity. And maturity is the balance between courage and consideration. Now, seeking to understand requires consideration. Seeking to be understood requires courage. That's very interesting. You know, the early Greeks had this philosophy, ethos, pathos, logos. I know you are very familiar with this. The first one is ethos. It is your personal credibility. It's the faith people have in your integrity and competency. Second is pathos. It's the emphatic side. It's the feeling. And then logos is the logic, the reasoning part. Now, you try to notice the sequence. First, ethos, it's your character. And then second is the pathos, the relationship with others. And then logos, it's your logic. And I think the sequence is very important to know. As we seek first to understand, then to be understood, we build our credibility, and we understand other people. We try to understand their paradigm, and that fosters trust. We strive to reach win-win solutions, and then we give our advice, our counsel, our thoughts, how we understand things, and that's gonna lead definitely to synergy, and that's very interesting. That's it, guys. That's habit number 5. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. It is the key to human communication if you want to be effective when it comes to communication. And I know some of us are businessmen, businesswomen, and this is very applicable in whatever we do here. And just keep learning here. We have great teachers and resources. We have our founder, Tom Painter. He's really good in habit number 5, as we have all witnessed. So always remember, make a difference, make it happen, because every life is precious. Thanks for watching, guys.